Hi, this is John with Putt Hill Customs. Today we're going to show you how to build a fender. A few days ago we made a smoker out of some material we had around the shop. We pretty much didn't spend any money on this, but we came up with a nice little smoker. However, we did have to go out and buy some wheels for it, so we went to Tractor Supply and bought a couple of little rubber wheels. Once we got the smoker heated up, we realized that the rubber was getting a little hot, so we decided we needed to put some fenders on there. So the first thing we did, we came up with a template and made sure that that fit over the wheel and everything, and made those templates out of cardboard just to mock them up. Once we were happy with the size and everything of the templates, we drew those onto some steel that we had around the shop. I think this is about a 20 gauge steel here. It's pretty easy to work with. You can see we can cut it with the metal shears and the power shears, and it cuts pretty easily. That's Daisy, one of the shop dogs, in the background there. So we'll go through, cut everything. This is Dave from Putt Hill Customs doing all the work. He'll be doing the cutting and the bending and the welding and everything. So we'll go through, cut all of these pieces out that we need. And once everything is cut out, we'll take it over and start smoothing all the edges out. Just want to get all the sharp edges off and make sure it's all nice and smooth, so we don't have any sharp edges. Same thing on the other piece. We'll round the edges a little bit, make sure they're nice and smooth. Also, putting the metal on the grinder helps take some of the material off of the metal and gives us a nice clean surface to weld on once we start welding. So there are two pieces that we've cut out, and now we're ready to start bending them into shape. So we move over to the bead roller. Here we have a die that puts a nice edge on it, and we've drawn where we want the edge to be. We're just going to basically fold this over so that we can put the other piece onto it and weld them together. So now we'll run it through the bead roller, and that's starting to put a nice crease into the metal so that we can use that crease as a guide for our bend. And once we've got that guide crease in there, we move over to the wood vise. We're just sticking it in there just to start getting our initial bend going on there. Once we start getting a little bend going in the wood vise, we'll take it out and put it on the dolly and start tapping it down. You can see now we're just going to smooth that, get that bend going, get it all smoothed out and flattened out. As we get the bend going, you're going to notice now the entire piece is warped, very warped, and that's because of that bend. So now we're going to put the material in the shrinker on that edge, and that's going to start squeezing that edge together and shrinking it down in order to get it nice and smooth and flat, and also that's going to eliminate the warpage in the rest of the fender there. So we'll go through, tap it out again, put it back. We probably did this process 4 or 5 times in order to get it all nice and flat and get it shrunk out. As you can see on this time, this is our last pass here. Got it pretty good and flat. We'll just take the hammer and finish it off, get it all flattened out. So now that piece is completed and ready to go. The next piece, the top piece, we're going to put a little bump in the top piece of this fender, mainly just for looks, but also putting the ridges like this in metal will help stiffen the metal and things like that. So mainly though, we're just kind of going for it for a look here. So again, we run it through the bead roller, different die on it this time that puts that raised bump in it. As you can see, we've changed our bead roller around a little bit. We've added a big steering wheel from a truck to help move the product through pretty easily and smoothly. And we've also changed some of our clamps and things to make them easier to handle. Just make it go on. So you can see now, as we run it through a second time, you can see that bead really being raised there as we come through, and gives us a nice little look. Once we get that finished, we take it outside, make sure everything matches up to the wheel, get our final shape going, get it ready to put the two pieces together. So now we'll line everything up, make sure everything's lined up and straight, and at that point we can start clamping it all together so that we can start welding it, the two pieces together. There's Dozer, one of the other shop dogs, hanging around in the background. And we'll get it all, we use plenty of clamps, so we got a nice smooth surface there to work with. Once we get it all clamped, we're going to spot weld it to hold it in place, and you'll notice that Dave's using a MIG welder. He also has an air line attached to the welder, so as soon as he finishes his weld, he pumps some air from that air line right onto the weld. That cools the weld and keeps it from warping. Since we have a very thin piece of metal, it's subject to warpage from the heat of the weld. As you can see, we have a foot pedal down there that we use to control the air. So this is a nice little innovation we've been using in the shop that really helps on keeping thinner metal from warping as you weld it a lot. The air really works well. So now we'll take it all apart. We've got it tack welded together. We'll go ahead and finish welding and complete all the welds. As you can see now, the welds are there, but they're kind of globby and sloppy and everything. So we're going to go through with an air grinder, and we're going to grind everything down, make it nice and smooth looking again. So we'll go through, grind all those welds down, make sure everything is looking good and more finished. So now we're pretty well done. We've got the fender looking the way we want to, and it's all nice and smooth, looks good. We'll go put it on the smoker and see how it works. So we're out here, put the smoker down, or the fender on the smoker. We're going to weld it into place, just tack weld it here, and once it's in place, then we'll go ahead and get it welded all the way around so that the fender will stay on the wheel. And once we finish the welding, you can see that we have a nice little fender covering our wheel now, keeping it from getting too hot. And that's how we make a fender at Put Hill Customs. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.